Welcome to Rad, a daily reader for Reddit. Like and subscribe for daily Reddit videos. Nobody should have to work one-third road of their lives for over 40 years, to retire at approximately 60 just to finish off whatever is left of their lives. As of right now I am 18 years old and looking into the future is depressing. I figure I'm gonna have to work 8 hours a day, sleep 8 hours a day and then have 8 hours a day to myself. This does not include things like getting ready for work, commute or shopping, cooking. At the end of the day I'm only going to have a few hours to do what I want. For over 40 years, it seems like my entire life is just preparing me to follow directions and then putting me into a factory where I'm a brick in a wall. Reference intended. When I tell other people this, I get a response along the lines of, "That's what everyone has to do," or "That's how it's always been." Why, even if it is how life works, how it has to be to maintain quality for everyone? What is the point in living? This is existential crisis material. Thanks for reading. TL. Doctor, people think I'm crazy for thinking working one-third road of your life is crazy. Edit. Thank you guys for blowing this up. Yeah, I had a co-worker, real nice man. Has worked at our company for a little over 30 years. In those 30 years the man almost never took time off. Worked diligently for 8 hours a day 5 days a week for 30 years. So much so that he accrued enough personal days and vacation days to retire exactly 1 year early. 30 years of hard work for 1 extra year doesn't seem balanced to me, but anyway. The man is about a year and a half away from his year of paid time off before retirement. COVID hits. The guy, who's older and also type 2 diabetic, ends up testing positive due to being an essential worker and one of his co-workers getting literally just for going to work. After that they then decide to fire our entire department due to budget cuts. So that man's 30 years of diligent work got him nothing. How depressing is that? Didn't they pay off his accrued vacation? That's pretty standard at jobs that allow rollover days like this case. Yes, they do. It's illegal not to pay him. However, it's taxable income, so if it's an extra year of salary, he's going to get hit with a huge tax bill. Edit to add. I did mean that if the PTO payout was high enough, it could put him into the next tax bracket unexpectedly, which would result in the huge bill. I was not aware that some states don't have to pay it out. That sounds like robbery, and if I lived in one of those states I would start making calls to my elected officials to make noise. What a ripoff. There are also some comments that just don't make sense. I didn't say anything about placing blame, and there are limits to how much you can contribute to retirement. But that is a way of saving, cutting down the bill. FFs you guys. I know how to do my taxes. PTO payouts are generally taxed higher, like 50% higher, and if he's making $75K, that's 50% of the next $70K. If you're sitting at, say, $75 $80K and then your income doubles, that's an extra 2% which wasn't accounted for in tax bracket. Your employer doesn't not automatically adjust to take out the correct amount of tax. They calculate at the start of the year. And typically, if you're building wealth you already plan to the IRS a few grand in April. So you collect the interest year round. For my friends in that tax bracket, especially heading to retirement, an extra $1,500 is a big hit. Most Americans have less than $800 available for an unexpected expense. All of this assumes he didn't take his as constructive receipt. This is a comment on an internet post. It's not that serious. My number one tip for someone who feels this way is to try minimize tying yourself down financially. Avoid loans and other things that won't allow you to stop working when you feel like it. At least that way, if you want to pull the pin and have a month or so off work, you aren't in a position where you need to go to work to pay those debts. I made this mistake many years ago with a car loan and I ended up hating my dream car because it took away my freedom from the daily grind. Edit. Some people are getting really picky about this. It's just an example to help people understand that you shouldn't overextend yourself. Yes, you may need a mortgage, so don't get a house with that extra bedroom. It will just end up being your prison. I did the same, became a slave to my fancy car. It sucked. It's a crap feeling that I think most people deal with at one time or another. The best bet is going for a job you will legitimately enjoy. I'm not saying that pursue your dreams of Hollywood and it will totally work out kind of crap. Not saying don't, but be realistic about it. But something you can derive legitimate joy out of, even if it makes a bit less than other professions. Or live in a van and save up for a 100k container house. But what if there's nothing you will even enjoy? At least without going to school for a ridiculous and unaffordable amount of time. Like 8+ years. And unfortunately I'm not a genius or incredibly smart, so I can't compete in programs like that. I would just be miserable. I have no idea what to do. I don't like any potential careers, and it's depressing as frick that I'll just have to kinda randomly pick something and be bored out of my mind, spending most of my life doing it for the next 4 decades. I remember thinking and feeling like this. It sucks, and the futility of it all is beyond depressing. Here's the deal. At 18, there are so many things you have yet to experience. So far, your life experiences have been limited simply by your youth. There are interests you have yet to develop. There are people and friends you have yet to meet. There are activities and places to see you have yet to consider. There may even be spouses, kids and grandkids in your future. Can I prove any of this? No. At 60 years old, I can promise you that flipping the script and trying to imagine the possible wonderful life ahead for you is the happiest and healthiest thing you can do for yourself. By far. Don't wait until you're 40 or 50 to figure this out. I wish you a happy and love-filled life. My job probably wouldn't impress many, but I love it. I get bored and sad on rare occasions I don't get any work to do. I'm not retiring unless health issues force me to. What is it, if you don't mind me asking? Oh my, I did not expect that to generate so much interest. I do branding, graphic design and coding, and manage a small team of people who work with me on freelance projects. If you guys were looking for tips on how to be happy with a job, find something you enjoy doing, and prepare to switch or branch out now and then. Because what you enjoy now may not be what you do in 10 years' time. Find something that allows for the freedom you need. However much freedom that is. Something that is just challenging enough, whatever that means for you. Something that will keep you on your toes. Give you a little thrill now and then, but not make you feel exhausted. Yep. I saw that retiring at approximately 60 line and thought to myself, my mom, stepdad are nearing in their 70s and they're still working. Retiring at approximately 60 is old news. It seems like my parents' generation is working until their funeral. Because of some weird social norm where we keep people alive until they die instead of just offing them when their mind stops functioning. With modern medicine we can keep people alive for entirely too freaking long. Living into your 90s, no problem. If you fully expect to die at 65 to 70, then you could retire significantly earlier. Almost everyone in my family has suffered from extreme mental illness that sets in around mid-70s. And then they get to live a wonderful life for another 10 to 15 years of mindless incoherence and suffering. This is why work will drastically change in the next years. You can see a dramatic change in the values of the generations. Young people will not accept more work for more money. They focus on having a good time without having to worry too much about money. But not being rich is not an issue for them. Now you could say, meh, but I say, today young generations are the bosses of tomorrow. You can see the ideas of 4 working days a week and so on spreading up. Work life will improve. Still, there will be a huge problem with the very heavy jobs, which will probably get worse. I agree with this. My dad works a lot, like 50% of his day, including sleep, and he's looking at retiring at 67. It's so unfair. Nobody works harder than he does. He also spends a lot of his free time taking care of me and my sister. We are both disabled and need help with some things, and doing chores. I feel so bad for him. If I ever win the lottery, the first thing I'll do is give my parents enough money for my dad to retire early. Some of the hardest working people I know are the poorest. Just because you work hard doesn't mean you did it in the right vehicle that produces wealth or income. In the words of Lawrence from Office Space, you don't need $1 million to do nothing. Man, take a look at my cousin. He's broke. Don't do crap. You're perfectly free to work as little as you like. Just don't expect to have much money. I had a buddy at my first job who was in his 40s. Rented a room in a house with a few other dudes. Worked like 3 days a week for 8 or so hours and didn't care to work much more than that. He was fine being broke. He liked to fish, so it was pretty inexpensive for him to pursue his dream of sitting in a canoe in a pond or standing by the river. You know, I completely agree with you. I'm now 31 and I still feel this way. People say stuff like, "That's just how life is," and I've always thought that's such a dumb and defeatist attitude because life doesn't have to be this way. It's only like this because of all the defeatist sheep bleating. That's just how life is. Since the 70s we moved women into more paid jobs and shifted from one person earning for a family to requiring two people to do so. That encouraged lower wages so that earning power was reduced, and the net expectation in most Western economies now has most families supported by two earners. It also got worse when technology produced more expensive consumer expenses that are now considered standard. These add $100s of dollars to many monthly budgets. The nuances of macroeconomics are often difficult to understand, but we do not have a society built for allowing many people to not work and continue on our path of advancement, but the current system we, the West, have is the best implemented so far. Throughout the course of human history, we're at the best it has ever been. There is no child labor. There is no slavery. There are no serfs. There are labor laws protecting workers. There are programs where work will help you pay for medical expenses. You can get sick and not die before you're 35. It's not unreasonable to actually own your own home if you save your money and get a degree, trade license to continue a career path. I think it's great that people are striving for more. But human progress is slow relative to our lifetimes, and there are consequences to moving too fast. So until we develop a society that can run on the average person working less, this is what is normal, and, relatively speaking, it's a good life. Unfortunately, economy does not freaking care. This is gonna be an unpopular opinion on this unpopular opinion. But, sure, working for a wage sucks. But it actually beats the heck out of what was necessary before wage labor. AKA, working to stay alive. Seriously, if anyone is feeling bummed about working at a desk for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and getting a fully stocked fridge, electricity, running water and plumbing, not to mention every manner of creature comfort you could ever want delivered to your doorstep at an affordable price, I challenge you to go live off a grid and 100% self-sufficient for just 1 year. Heck, even just earn your keep on a farm for a few months. That means getting up at the crack of dawn, tilling your own fields, growing and harvesting your own crops, rearing and butchering your own meat, building and maintaining your own shelter, fashioning, mending and washing your own clothes, etc., etc. Living for a living literally means you don't stop working. Up at sunrise and in at sundown. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And hard-assed work too. None of this cushy, I'm in Slack meetings and YouTube for 6 out of my 8 hours. And maybe do 2 hours of real work crap. TBH. Even the fact that people think we should complain about this is a sign of just how good we have it. And if you really hate it that much, go invent a product, start an online business, or make an app. Then you can hire your own wage slaves. End rant. Edit. A lot of people have responded with the straw man that I somehow implied that we should never try to improve and just accept the status quo. I didn't. What I said is that we live a relative life of ease, security, luxury and convenience compared to all humans that came before us, not to mention most of the rest of the world right now. And to complain about it, as if society, the world, and existence itself owes you a life of even more ease and pleasure, is to be utterly myopic, ungrateful, self-centered, pampered, and entitled as frick. The answer is no. You do not have to work 1/3 of your life. I mean, there are so many people who are sitting at home working for themselves, i.e. freelancer. I won't suggest you that, but I can tell you options. The main option which has worked out for me is Forex trading. I am telling you, you do not have to work your entire life. My mentor also says, if you are not making money even in your sleep, then what are you even doing? Thanks for watching Rad. Like and subscribe for daily Reddit videos. If you like these videos, check out Rad too.